Someone made a deal with a spiritual woman to block your path. If you believe in angels, please watch this message from beginning to end. An angel speaks. Now they have seen what was hidden. They know what was done in the shadows. Someone went to a woman with ancient knowledge, but not from the light. She deals with powers not of heaven. She agreed to do what they asked, but last night something changed. Not because she wanted to, but because she was forced. The darkness turned on itself, and light pushed through the cracks. You weren't supposed to know this was meant to stay in silence, deep in places. Eyes don't go underneath whispers and blood oaths. But heaven's time has come. The veil is tearing and nothing stays hidden. The woman trembled last night. Her hands shook. Her breath was heavy. Her lips moved. But the words fell. Dead. Her voice had no power. Her altar shifted. The fire refused to burn. The incense turned back on her. It didn't rise. It went into her lungs, and she choked on it. The spirit she called turned away. The elements betrayed her. The water in her bowl moved on its own, spilled without a hand touching it. The room she sat in grew cold, not with fear but with judgment, because heaven was watching, because the one above was done with the silence. You were targeted, someone you once trusted, a familiar face, handed over what should have been protected. Not silver, not gold, but something more powerful. Your name, your birth date, your image. They gave it to her, with intent, with a curse spoken through clenched teeth, spoken from envy, spoken from a hidden place of hate, and she accepted it, no hesitation, no remorse. She opened her ancient books, chanted names you've never heard, called on voices that were not of heaven to build a cage around you. She didn't just cast spells. She planted delay like weeds in your garden. She scattered confusion like ashes in the wind. She put a fog over your thoughts. She whispered lies into the spirit realm. She said you wouldn't rise. She said you would forget who you are. She said you would walk in circles, stuck in the same place, never moving forward. And that's why you've been feeling tired without reason. Doors closing that should have opened, opportunities vanishing, as if swallowed by the air, people around you pulling away without cause. Conversations shifting from joy to silence, from love to tension. But now the angel says the contract is breaking. The power is returning to the sender, because last night heaven intervened, not with noise but with presence. Light stepped into the room where she sat, and the shadows fled. The woman who once felt strong felt small. Her hands no longer commanded the room. Her voice echoed, but it had no reach. The spirits she trusted turned their backs. They no longer obeyed her, and she panicked because something was changing. The power she once held was slipping. Her altar cracked. The candle exploded, and smoke filled the air. Not the good kind, but dark smoke, bitter and hot, wrapping around her throat, because what she did was not just ritual, it was betrayal, a spiritual crime, and heaven was done waiting. The angel says the deal is canceled, the spell is null, the chains are breaking. You weren't supposed to know, but you're being told now, because heaven is calling you back into your purpose. You weren't forgotten. You were fought over. You weren't abandoned. You were attacked, but heaven defends its own, and the light has claimed you again. You were meant to rise, but someone feared your rise. They feared your light, so they sent her, she who makes circles in the dust, she who writes with ashes, she who calls to shadows. But her voice was cut off. Her work is falling apart bit by bit. You may still feel tired, you may still feel confused, but understand this, it is lifting. The fog is lifting, the sky is clearing. What she did left marks, but they are fading because heaven has spoken, because the angel stands beside you. Now you are not alone, not now. Not ever the time has come to reclaim your steps, your joy, your voice, your clarity. They tried to bury your vision, but vision lives in the spirit, not in the flesh, and your spirit has been touched by God. They tried to dim your light, but your light is not from this world. No hand can cover it. No spell can bind it. No deal can stop it. Because heaven's signature is written over your life, the woman may try again, but it will fail. She may chant again, but it will fall flat. Because now her power is broken. The angel stands where she once stood. The altar she used has become silent, because the fire now burns on your behalf. Your name is returning to your hands. Your image is being cleansed. Your birth date is being sealed in light, and every word spoken against you is being reversed. Her tongue is silent, and the spirit she called has fled. Heaven has taken back authority, and with that your destiny is realigning. Watch your dreams, they will begin to speak again. Watch your days, they will begin to shift. People who vanished will reach out. Opportunities that slipped will return, but not because of luck, because of divine correction. Heaven has moved, and when heaven moves, nothing can resist. The shadow that stood in your way is dissolving. The silence that sat in your room is being chased out. You are about to feel life again, feel power again, feel clarity again. Because she, the spiritual woman, was forced to back down. She did not surrender. She was pushed by something greater, something holy, something just. And now your path is being reopened. Step by step, light is coming back. Truth is returning, and all that was done in the dark has been exposed. Not to shame you, but to free you, so that you know this wasn't your fault. This wasn't weakness. This was war. And in that war, heaven fought for you. Angels stood watch. God said, enough. You were not meant to suffer in silence. You were not meant to live beneath curses. You are chosen. You are rising. The deal is broken. Your name is restored. The woman has failed. The curse is reversed. And from this day forward, the path ahead is cleared. Walk in it. Don't look back. Don't fear. Your light is returning. Your strength is growing. Your time is now, and no spiritual force can stand against the will of heaven. They will not rise. They will not be seen. They will be forgotten until their breath runs out. But something happened last night. She tried to sleep. She closed her eyes. But something stood near her bed. A figure in white robes. Not dreaming. Not smiling. Not human. He held a blade, not made of metal. It moved like air. It shimmered like glass. He didn't shout. He didn't whisper. He spoke without sound. Yet his words struck her bones. He pointed. First to the ceiling, then to the paper on her desk. Your name was there. Her heart dropped. Her soul began to unravel. She had lit candles, but her room turned cold, very cold, too cold for fire, too cold for light. Shadows moved. They used to obey her. They used to stay still. Now they spoke behind her. She called them. They didn't listen. Her voice had no power. Her words had no weight, because the deal she made had a rule. She must never fear what she sees. But last night, she saw something too big for her mind, too large for her eyes. And she broke. She whispered, I revoke it. I undo it. I will cancel what I've done. But it wasn't enough. It was too late. Because heaven had already moved. Not because of her words, but because another voice spoke your name. Someone wept for you. Someone on earth cried without knowing why. Their soul cried out, the kind of cry that tears the sky open. The kind of cry only the desperate can make. It reached beyond her spell. It pierced through. That's why you've been waking at 2 a.m. At 3, at 4, that's why your dreams have been strange, confusing, dark, because your soul has been fighting, wrestling in places your body cannot go. And now, the tide is turning. God is uncovering everything. No more secrets, no more silence. The one who made the deal with her, he thought no one would ever know. He walked away from her door thinking it was done. He believed your silence was a yes. He believed your failure was permanent. He smiled when you stumbled. He thought his request was accepted, but he was wrong. Last night destroyed his calm because she turned against him, not because she wanted to, but because something forced her hand, something greater, something older. She will now speak. She will now reveal the things she vowed to hide, because heaven has unsealed her mouth. She feels it burning inside her, a voice not her own, a fire not of this world, and she cannot hold it, not anymore. Her sleep has become warm. Her thoughts are no longer hers. She's being watched. Every step, every word, every breath. She's not the same. The robe touched her. The wind blade cut her spirit, not to destroy but to mark her. She is now a witness. And you are the reason heaven came. You are the one being protected, even when you didn't ask. Even when you were unaware, you are not forgotten. Not by God, not by the angels, not even by those who tried to harm you. They remember your name. They fear your return, because light is coming back to you. Bit by bit, moment by moment. The chain is breaking. The agreement is dying. The woman's hand is shaking. She can't hold her lies anymore. She is waking up screaming. She sees you in her dreams now. But you're not alone. You're surrounded by flames that do not burn, by figures that stand without blinking. She tries to speak, but her mouth locks. She tries to run, but her feet freeze. Because you are now guarded. Because your name has been cried out by someone pure, and heaven has answered. The man thought he owned the outcome. He laughed when he signed the pact. He didn't see the angels waiting. He didn't notice the sword hanging above his own head, but it dropped. Last night, while you slept, a shift occurred, not in your room, but in the spirit realm. She saw it. She can't deny it, and now she speaks. To anyone who will listen, she tells them what she saw, what she touched, what she fears. Because the one in white stood near her and said nothing. He only looked, and she understood. Your name was enough. Your name was a weapon. Your name was the sound that split her world apart. You didn't know how much power your name held, but heaven knew. The angels knew. The watchers knew. Even your enemies felt it. That's why they tried to erase you, to silence you, to bind you, but it failed. Because heaven heard your name from a crying soul, a voice with cracked lips, shaking hands. They spoke for you when you couldn't, and that was all it took. Now everything must shift. Now the truth must rise. The woman will not sleep. The man will not rest, because heaven has demanded return. You are owed what was stolen, not just peace, not just rest, but honor, light, strength. The kind of strength that cannot be faked. The kind of strength born in storms. They thought you were weak. They didn't see what was inside you, but heaven did. And now, they must face the one you belong to. You are not alone. You never were. Even when you cried with no one around, even when you fell with no hand to catch you, you were seen. Heaven took the record. Angels stood by, waiting, watching, counting the tears. And now it is time. Everything is reversing. What was meant for harm will now heal you. What was stolen will return double. The silence you lived in will become a shout, a trumpet that rattles the earth, because God has moved, not with thunder, not with lightning, but with purpose, with clarity, with justice. The names that were written against you, they are now fading. They cannot hold, they cannot speak. Their mouths are sealed, their plans are broken, and you will rise, stronger than before, wiser, louder, brighter. The woman will remember you, but she will tremble, not with power, but with regret. The man will hear your name and choke on it, because he thought you were buried. But heaven never forgets its children. You are chosen, you are guarded, you are seen. Even now the air shifts around you, because an army walks beside you, because a fire follows you, not to destroy, but to protect. Every door that closed will now open, every chain that bound will now snap. Because heaven has spoken, and when heaven speaks, nothing can stay the same, nothing can remain hidden. The light has found you, and it will never let you go. She'll be revealed. But more than that, she will say his name not in secret, but in judgment. You are being pulled from the net that was placed in the spirit world. The unseen ties that bind your progress are being burnt. The words uttered above your name are being reversed. And you must realize that the cause for your delay was not a lack of effort. It was a concealed hand reaching into your life with the approval of someone you once embraced. He granted her access to your life out of jealousy. He didn't seem to be a danger, but he carried a bitterness that grew quietly until it was lethal. She took that bitterness and used it to build an altar, but she couldn't complete it, not because of her strength, but because of your own. Because of your call, because of the one who predetermined your fate before you were born. Heaven burst open just as she sought to close it, and Michael the archangel dropped into her chamber. That's what she saw, that's who stood beside her bed. That is the one who reversed the smoke and reflected her own words back at her. And now you must use caution, not fear. Because the next 9 days are sacrosanct. During this period, certain things will be returned to you privately, while others will begin to fall in public. He will be exposed, the one who offered your name to be bound. His face will quiver when he learns of your triumph. His body will weaken at the news of your development, not because of what you do to him, but because of what heaven has already started releasing in your name. The woman's hands will tremble. For the next 3 weeks she will be unable to cast again, because the spiritual portal she opened was shut by fire from above. And her name is now on a list that she cannot remove. Your dreams are going to turn the correct ones, not the hazy shadows, but the vivid visions. Your thoughts will feel lighter in them. Morning, your hunger will return, and the weight in your chest, the one that made no sense, the one that arrived unexpectedly, will lift. Because the weight was spiritual, has now been lifted. There is one thing left to do. Forgive. You must forgive, not because they deserve it, but because your next promotion relies on having clean hands. Your freedom is protected. But in order to advance, you must not bear their wrongdoing in your heart. It will be difficult, especially once you see their name, when you hear what they say about you while you were not present, when you discover how they celebrated after your pain. But don't curse them, bless them. With quiet, move ahead in peace. You are being monitored right now, not by them, but by heaven, and heaven is waiting to see whether your next move is worthy of what has been planned for you. Do not write about it. Do not send indirect communications. Do not disclose anything, Let them fall silently, and let your rising Be louder than any reaction you could ever provide. The lady will attempt to reach you in subtle ways, via someone's symbols or unexpected coincidences. She will not beg for forgiveness directly, but she will attempt to test if the door is still open. It isn't. Close it silently, allow your soul to declare your boundaries, then walk away. Their restoration has started, but fulfillment is arriving in stages. Things that were previously kept back will be returned to you one by one. Your name has been rewritten in the spirit, and now bears the seal of heavenly authority. Speak kindly, walk modestly, trust profoundly, and know, this God declares, they will not stop. What I have said, even if they meet again, even if they devise another plan, they won't touch you, because the covenant around you has been rewritten with fire. Those that come into contact with fire end up being burnt. You're not the same as you were before. You are not defenseless, you're not forgotten, and you're no longer delayed beginning. Today the adventure will take an unusual turn. Some individuals will withdraw themselves. Without reason, do not pursue them. That's part of the clearing the void they leave behind will be filled by genuine relationships. Strange favors will find you in unexpected places and with individuals you have never met. Some people will aid you without realizing, while others will bless you without any questions. That is not a coincidence, that's heavenly recompense. Someone is coming into your life with keys, not just metaphorical ones, but real keys for a home. Seeking an opportunity, apply for a role. For a while you felt you'd lost. You did not lose it. It was delayed because you were not intended to enter there with that curse on your back. However, now that it is broken, you will enter cleanly, and those who watched you crawl will see your flight. There is a sound being made in heaven over your name. It's not a trumpet, it's not a bell. This is the sound of laughing, because heaven rejoices despite being targeted. The individual survived. Someone struck a pact with a spiritual lady to thwart your destiny last night. However, the lady was unable to continue. Her hands trembled. Her sleep was disturbed by images she couldn't control. Her breath was taken away by the dread of what she saw standing behind you. Light fire, the voice of the Most High shouting your name out loud. She couldn't go any farther, and the shackles they instructed her to bind around your root crumbled to the ground like dust. She lighted the candle to drown out your words, but it split in her palm, and the wax scorched her flesh. Their name they breathed into the ritual vanished in the wind, leaving your name. Higher than her altar, she intended to push something bad against your advancement, but heaven stood in her way. Nothing shifted in their favor. You were encircled not by males, not through threats, not via human effort, but by the hand of the Lord, who knew this plan before it was formed in their thoughts. This is not fiction, this is not a narrative, it's a spiritual truth veiled behind silence. But tonight, the stillness ends, because heaven witnessed it. The deal, the words, the deal, the moment one soul requested another to meddle with what God had already written. However, you're not under their contract, you're not under their influence, you are not under their silence, you are not under their gaze. The lady witnessed something last night, and she will not mention your name. Again, the brilliance that surrounds you is blinding to her. Your forefathers pronounced these words over you, prayers said in private by someone who weeps for you at night. The oil that was once spilled on your head, even though you had no idea why. All of it produced a barrier that no ceremony could penetrate. You're safe, you're untouched, you are ascending. I've seen what they attempted. In the shadows I saw the agreement. I saw the night, I overheard the words, but I was already there. I stood in the middle. I revised what they attempted to write about your destiny. I intercepted the message. I deleted the binding. I dispersed the ash before it could reach your name. So you're wondering why you sensed a change in the atmosphere, why your dreams were unsettling, and why you awoke as if someone had shouted your name from somewhere you couldn't see. It was the exact time when the interference failed. It was the moment when the heavens reversed it. They intended to postpone your destiny, but the stars are now aligning in your favor. The strategies they devised have failed. The wife will say nothing more about you. She realizes now that she cannot touch what God has sealed. She experienced the anguish of attempting to hurt a soul. That God protects you, felt it, the cool air in your chamber, the unusual quiet, the abrupt uncertainty. It was more than simply a sensation. It was the shadow of spiritual interference attempting to enter your head. But the light inside you resisted it. The Lord's name was powerful, even in regions you couldn't see. They attempted to limit your possibilities. They attempted to confound your connections. They attempted to make you question your mission. They attempted to disrupt your stability. But the lady last night, she paused. She dreaded. She stepped back. She saw too much when she heard the cries of angels. She realized she was untouchable. You're not alone. You're not forgotten. You're not defeated. Even when you didn't realize I was protecting you, and you couldn't perceive the cause for the delay. I was clearing the air even when people muttered your name in places not intended for you. I was louder. I sent light. I sent angels. I caused uncertainty in their camp. I shut it down before it bloomed. Now take a closer look. The doors are starting to open. The weight is starting to lift. The way is becoming clearer again. I brought your future back into the light after someone tried to hide it. In darkness, you are not who they want you to be. You are not the victim they expected. You are not the one who is imprisoned or about to fall apart. You're ascending with more clarity than before. Since the spiritual hindrance has been eliminated, the night has gone, the transaction has collapsed, the barrier has been removed, the truth stands. Please pray not with dread or terror, but with confidence that what God has spoken over your life is stronger than anything anybody can do to stop it. Pray, for heaven has heard. Pray because heaven has replied. Pray because you are covered. They are still puzzled why their energy has vanished, why the confusion no longer works, why your pleasure has returned, and why your tranquility seems greater than before. It's because the curtain has been removed. The spiritual lady has backed away. The contract is invalid. The interruption is over. And now your way is clear. Your name is resonating in the appropriate locations. Your hands are now free to construct anew. Your feet are moving forward again. If you want to contribute or express your gratitude, you may offer a super thanks up to 100. Nothing will go wrong for you. You're safe. You only have to believe and remain close to God. There is nothing to be afraid of, since you were protected even when you couldn't grasp what was going on and couldn't sleep at night. Now you can rest. God is nearby. Nothing they've done has worked. Nothing they said lasted. You are still picked. You're still soaring. And this time nothing will stop you, because this time nothing will stand in your way. Not the words murmured between closed doors, not the candle that burnt in your name, not the terror that crept into your heart in the middle of the night, because the Lord has spoken to you enough. The fight for your fate has already been fought in a world you have never seen. The quiet you felt was not desertion, it was a preparation. It was paradise moving in quiet. It was angels going through the fabric of time, resetting the moments that others attempted to take from you, that summoned. Lady listened for your voice in the spirit, but all she heard was thunder. All she saw was a mass drum around your name. The brightness was too bright for her. She dropped the string. She backed away. She said, I can't, not this one, not this soul. There is something above them that I cannot reach. Yes, there is a mark on you that existed before you were born, a covenant sealed, not by your efforts, but by the favor of the Almighty, a safeguard that talks even when you remain mute, a covering that remains in place, even when you are not aware of it. You are not ordinary. They don't know how many times your name was spoken in rooms you never visited. They have no idea how many times you were almost obliterated, but something unseen pushed back even. Now they're wondering why you're still standing, why you haven't shattered, and why you continue to shine despite their best efforts to dull you. Because your own strength is not what keeps you going. I wrote your article at an inaccessible location. I have immortalized your name in light. I've allocated angels who don't sleep. You're not wandering alone even when it seems that the world has moved on. I remain present. I'm still your shield. I am still the one who yells when others gossip about you. You're not late. You're not behind. The delay was a detour created by heaven to allow the shadows to unveil themselves. They assumed you wouldn't notice. They assumed you'd blame yourself. They believed their partnership with darkness would mute your delight. But yesterday night, the lady recognized the mistake. She saw your guardian. She saw your covering. She saw the brightness on your root. And her eyes could not take it. She left the altar incomplete. She left her spell undone. She left the situation shattered. She ran in terror, for the power that surrounds you is not man-made. It's wonderful. It is sacrosanct. It should not be handled by hands that are deceitful. You may not have been aware of what was occurring. You may have believed your emotions were merely heavy. You may have thought your sleep was disrupted by stress. But no, there was interruption in the unseen. There was activity behind the curtain, and you were being battled for. There were names listed alongside yours, but they were never meant to ascend with you. Some spirits smiled at you, yet they yearned for your stagnation. Prayers were offered, not to bless, but to confuse. But the Lord, who sees the secret things of mankind, who rides on the winds, and travels through shadows with fire in his eyes, entered that dark spot and declared, "This one is mine." In that instant, every dark bargain collapsed. So walk confidently again. Walk knowing that what was supposed to bind you has become a stepping stone to your success. Walk with the assurance that heaven is watching, that angels are guiding you, that the light that cannot be touched will protect you. You may still feel the effects of what they attempted to throw your way, but it is receding, day by day. It's separating from you, thought after thought. You are gradually regaining your actual strength. Your clarity is being restored. You're no longer puzzled. You're no longer trapped. You are not entangled in their web, because the one who created you is untangling every rope. Even now, things are changing. People who were close are becoming mute. Situations that used to bind are loosening their hold. The ideas that previously smothered you are now calmer, because your spirit is returning to its natural beat, because your mind is no longer in the shadows, because your future is calling, louder than their previous estimates. You are hearing again, not with your ears, but with your soul. You are sensing the truth, even in silence, even in stillness. Your discernment has grown sharper. You now recognize what does not belong. You can feel the difference between love and control, between kindness and manipulation. You can see beyond smiles. You can hear what is not being said. This is no accident. This is growth. This is elevation. You have crossed a line in the spirit, and you are not going back. The traps they set are now visible. The poison they poured now smells foul. What was once hidden, now it feels obvious. You are not the same. Your eyes have been touched by light. Your ears have been washed by wisdom. Your voice is being strengthened, and they can feel it. They can feel the shift. They can sense that their influence has ended, their grip has loosened, their plans are exposed, and now they are retreating. Not because they want to, but because they must. They cannot touch what is sealed by heaven. You are sealed. You are marked. You are covered. Not by rituals, not by chance, but by grace, by purpose, by divine appointment. And though they tried to reroute your journey, they only made you stronger. Though they tried to confuse your timing, they only highlighted your alignment, because the timing of heaven is perfect. And your delay was actually preservation. You were being preserved from hidden enemies, from false partnerships, from burdens that looked like blessings. You were being shielded, even when you cried, even when you questioned, even when you felt forgotten. You were being protected. There are things you'll never have to recover from because heaven blocked them. There are rooms you'll never enter because angels stood in the doorway, and though you didn't understand it then, now you're starting to see it. Now you're beginning to understand that protection doesn't always feel pleasant. That delay doesn't always mean denial. You were being delivered from a future that didn't match your calling, from attachments that didn't carry honor, from distractions dressed as destiny. You were being realigned, recentered, restored, and now the fog is lifting, the weight is lessening, the tears are turning into lessons, and the pain is becoming wisdom. You are walking lighter, not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer carrying what isn't yours. You are walking taller, not because you've never been knocked down, but because you chose to rise again and again. Heaven is not silent about you. Your name is still written. Your path is still guarded. Your vision is still blessed, and the light that covers you cannot be dimmed, not by jealousy, not by witchcraft, not by rejection, not by misunderstanding. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible. You are not cursed. You are chosen. You are watched over. You are deeply known. When you sleep, there are whispers in heaven about your name. When you cry, there are responses sent in the spirit. When you worship, there are shifts in the atmosphere. You are not just anyone. You are called, and the one who called you will not change his mind. So don't go back to smallness. Don't return to what broke you. Don't chase after what heaven removed. Keep walking forward. Keep standing in light. Keep believing, even when it doesn't feel easy. Your journey is protected. Your spirit is guarded. Your end will be peace. They thought they won, but they were blind to the backup surrounding you. They thought you were alone, but they didn't see the fire around your name. There are still miracles set aside for you. There are still doors only you can walk through. There are still dreams that will unfold in due time. Heaven has not forgotten your efforts. Your faith is being rewarded. Your obedience is being noticed. Even in secret, you were not alone. Even in silence, you were being defended. Every hidden attack has now been exposed. Every counterfeit connection is now dissolving. Every chain is breaking, and you are rising. You are shining. You are becoming what they said you'd never be. Because heaven said yes, and no earthly voice can overturn that. This is your time to heal. This is your moment to breathe again. This is your season of restoration. Watch the weight fall. Watch the doors open. Watch the very people who doubted you begin to wonder how you made it. It was never by luck. It was by grace. It was by divine hand. The same hand that rescued you is now lifting you, and the same eyes that watched over you in battle. Now watch. You walk in victory, so keep walking, keep trusting, keep glowing, keep praying. The night is over, the storm is passing, and morning is here. You made it, and you will continue to rise, because heaven has already gone before you, and your future is still good.